Welcome to Creative Live Day 2. So yesterday we were talking about the color of skin, and I went through the numbers and reading the info panel and just how to really analyze the color and how to get the right color. But actually, I like to let people know that photography is actually a lot more about the lights and darks in an image than it is about the color. And color is kind of a, it's kind of a crazy thing in digital. The camera chip has a mosaic pattern of red, green, and blue pixels. So this little diagram here sort of illustrates the most common pattern on the chip, which is a Bayer pattern. And that gives us twice as many green pixels as either red or blue, because green pixels are on every single line. But the chip itself actually only captures brightness values, and it knows by its location on the surface of the chip whether it's a red, green, or blue pixel. And then the software demosaicing, what you do in your raw processor, blends these three values together to arrive at a new color. We call this sort of additive color because we're blending brightness values. So all those RGB numbers just represent brightness values in the individual three color channels. So the thing to remember about this is that actually cameras only record brightness. They only record brightness, and the color is interpreted from the brightness levels at those pixel sites on the CCD. And you have to process these files either in the camera to arrive at a JPEG, or later in the raw processing software to actually arrive at color. So even though color is not actually captured, it's sort of created after the fact. We talked yesterday about how people don't really want accurate color, but you have to start someplace. So to get some sort of sense of color accuracy, you have to calibrate your capture to a known target, which is what we did, or I showed you yesterday with the color checker target. But in the end, finally, what we consider to be good color is highly subjective. Luminosity, however, is less subjective because our human visual system really responds more acutely to brightness. And because of that, luminosity, the quality of the lights and darks in your image, will trump color every time. So let me show what I mean by that. So here's a scene. It's a very information-rich scene. This was taken at Lark Camp. It's a music camp that happens every year. I'm in the process of making a documentary movie about it. But this is a scene where you can see a number of people, you know exactly what they're doing, and there's a lot of detail in it. Okay? Now, if I drain out all the lights and darks in this image, and depending on how your monitor is calibrated, you may perceive some of the warmer colors as being lighter, but in fact, digitally, this is all one luminance level, and it's much more abstract. I mean, if you study this, you can probably still work out, that there are people in there and they might be playing musical instruments, but it's really hard to really get a sense of what this scene is. Now, if I do the opposite, if I drain out all the color, but leave the luminosity, the lights and darks, we have a black and white picture, right? And but it's still very clear what's going on. You can see all kinds of detail. In fact, you get more information about what this scene is from the lights and darks. So we can see textural detail, and we can see shadows and highlights, and that information is more important than the color content. Now, certainly, when we add back the color, you get some more information, and it's not like it's not important, but whether the color is like this or more saturated or maybe cooler, there's a lot of a lot of leeway in what kind of color we will accept. And people have personal preferences, so some people like cooler images. However, if you can nail the black point and the white point, and your range of tones from black to white is good, and you have good local contrast, that is the thing that really makes it a photograph. So today we're really going to be concentrating on lights and darks, and we have kind of a different problem coming up with a darker skin model. And I'm going to show you a lighting diagram that's in my skin book. We're actually going to use a variation of this. And this was the diagram that was for the dark skin beauty shot. And you can kind of see that the attempt here is to really light a dark subject. In the example in the book, it's sort of a headshot, and it's a woman, and she's looking directly at the camera, and all the planes of her face are lit by that beauty dish with a big umbrella behind it. The key was a really large light source so that the planes of the face can reflect the large light source, and you're not using a small light source to throw shadows. Like we're using a smaller source for our fair skin model so we could get some shading on the face. With a dark skin model, we're more concerned about getting some light on the face. And so we want a larger light source. And here we see these umbrellas for rim lights on either side. We're going to use one rim light on the shadow side of the face. We're going to do more of a Rembrandt portrait today. So at this point, we're gonna strike all this and actually set up the lights, but I'll take some questions first. So, yeah.
I just want to back up a little bit. Considering what you were talking about with luminosity and color, what is your preference, or can you speak to the approach of converting a color image to black and white? I know that just desaturating is dangerous.
Yeah. I will get into that when we get into our posting, and I'm
okay.
into Photoshop.
Very good.
And yes, I will be covering that. It is very important. Any other questions about the conceptual stuff that I just went over?
There are questions coming in.
Okay.
Let's see. Focus of Grace says, what do you do if the CMYK values are correct, but the image still looks really off? And what if you can't get the image to the right CMYK values, especially getting the cyan value correct? Thank you.
Okay, well, like I said before, it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean. These aren't exactly hard rules, right? They're more like guidelines. So if you're just struggling with it and you're close, but you're just not quite there, I really do think it's more important to consider the lights and darks and get good contrast. If you're really worried about it looking like the color looking off, you can try desaturating the image so that it's not so much in your face. I think the big problem that people have is they have too much saturation. They go for too much color saturation. Really, restrain yourself from that saturation slider, and you're probably going to have more luck with it. Without seeing a specific image, that's about as detailed as I can get with an answer.
The specific images get hard to answer.
Yeah. Any other questions before we move the lights around? All right, let's do it. All right, so what we're going to try to do here is we're going to create a sort of Rembrandt lighting effect. So our subject here in this chair, we have a really big umbrella with a diffuser panel over it. This is going to sort of be like our window light. Very large, what is it, 60 inches, John?
60-inch Fotex software.
Yeah, so this is a big umbrella with the diffusion panel, so the light is very evenly distributed through this very large light source. And that gives us more surface to reflect into the darker skin. So, and this is going to be our hair light here. We have a softbox, again, to kind of wrap that highlight, and we're going to kind of hopefully light the top of his head. We're going for a sort of a dark, moody look against a dark background. So I want him to separate. So I want to make sure that the edges that are going against black get lit somehow. And we're going to have this V-flat here to act as a rear rim light. And okay, let's see. I'm just kind of trying to test to see where our model's going to be. What do you think? Do I look good? All right, let's see. Let me turn my light on. What do we got here? Okay, good. 16.5. And so I'm trying to measure the light. It's a little hot. It says 22.2. Are we closer? Maybe.
Well, we didn't have this light earlier.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so let's try and get this tuned down. I don't want my rim lights to be hotter than my main light, because I'd like them to be more subtle. Maybe we can get them.
Let's try this now.
Okay. Wait. Do it again. Okay, that's better. And let's see. Okay. Let's do that again. Okay, so I'm 11 here, and I'm.
I can bring this in a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Let's bring the V-flat in a little bit closer. I'm trying to get these lights balanced out before we bring our model out. This is the diffuser head on the flash meter, and I'm rotating it back in to measure the lights separately. When the dome is out like that, it sees light coming from every direction, and it's harder to get a sense of the individual light outputs that I'm trying to balance. So I rotate this back in there like that, and then sometimes I'll even shade it with my hand to make sure that I'm only reading the light coming from one light source. All right, so let's see now. I'm going to try and see where we're at with this one. Okay. Okay, 11.7, and let's try our 16.1. Okay, and our main light is 16.7. Okay, that seems good, I think. Let me do this one more time.
Yeah.
Can we? Let's see. And let me. What is this again? I'm just double checking here. Can we bring this down just a little bit?
Dimmer?
Yeah, a little dimmer.
Probably by raising it.
Okay. Okay. And all right, final step here. Let's measure. Okay, better. Okay. All right, almost there. I've got to have my flag. So this flag is protecting the camera from the hair light. And I'm going to go place it now, go to from camera. And let's see, raise it up a little higher, right there. That's good. I should be pretty covered from here. And I may move in a little bit, so let me just check and make sure I'm still covered. Okay, that's good.